the light beyond Mars. The year was 2138, long after the first human colonies had carved their domes into the crimson deserts of Mars. For most, Mars was home now, red skies, cold nights, and the eternal hum of oxygen generators filling the silence where wind once spoke. But for Commander Elara Myles, Mars was a prison wrapped in rust. She stood alone on the observation deck of Outpost Helios-9, a solitary station orbiting the planet's northern hemisphere. Through the thick glass of the viewport, Mars rotated slowly below, vast, silent, and lifeless. At least, that's what the report said. But that night, Elara saw something no report could explain. A light, faint, trembling, golden, flickered far beyond the Martian horizon. Not a reflection, not a satellite flare. It pulsed, rhythmic, deliberate like a signal. A heartbeat across the void. "Control," she called into her comm. "This is Helios-9. I have a visual anomaly at grid sector 22 north, latitude 39.4. Confirm any scheduled drone activity." Static answered first, then the calm voice of Lieutenant Juno, her communications officer. "Negative, Commander. No registered crafts in that zone. Are you sure it's not dust interference?" Elara's eyes narrowed. "Dust doesn't pulse." There was a pause. "Understood. Logging visual anomaly. Should I alert Central Command?" She hesitated. Part of her wanted to say yes, to send every eye and satellite crawling over that patch of Martian wasteland, but something in her gut twisted. She remembered a phrase her father used to tell her, back when she was still training on Earth. Not every light in the dark wants to be found. "No," she said finally. "Not yet. I'll investigate." Hours later, Mars rotated into night, and the light grew stronger. Elara sealed her helmet, stepping into the airlock. The familiar hiss of depressurization filled her ears as the hatch opened to the naked red desert. The stars above stretched endlessly, distant and cold, but her gaze locked on the faint golden flicker on the horizon. Her boots sank into the dust. Each step echoed through her suit's calm, the rhythmic thump of human defiance in a place that should have remained silent. She moved toward the light. Half a kilometer out, her visor sensors caught a faint energy reading, non-solar, non-thermal. That made no sense. There hadn't been a power source on this part of the planet for over 40 years, not since the Atlas colony vanished. The data said a reactor failure had destroyed it, but no wreckage was ever found. She increased her pace. As she crested a ridge, the desert unfolded before her like a dead ocean, dunes, craters, black rock. And in the center of it, half buried beneath the red dust, something glowed. It was not a fire, not a flare. It was a structure, smooth, metallic, shaped like a fallen shard of glass taller than a building. Its surface shimmered as if alive, threads of light running across it like veins beneath skin. Elara froze. Her heart pounded in her throat. "Control, I'm looking at something," she whispered. "Unidentified. Not human-made. Not natural." The comm crackled, but no voice came through. "Juno, do you read me?" Only static. Then, the light flickered again. A pulse. Brighter this time. And for a heartbeat, she could hear something. Not through her comms, but inside her skull. A hum, low and ancient, like a song buried beneath the Martian wind. She stumbled back, clutching her helmet. The glow intensified, then steadied. A beacon awakening from centuries of sleep. Something was calling her. When Elara returned to Helios-9, she barely remembered the walk. Her mind buzzed with fragments, the hum, the light, the sensation that something beyond human comprehension had just opened its eyes. She sat in the debriefing chamber, staring at her hands. They trembled. "Commander?" Juno's voice came through again, distant, apologetic. "We lost your signal for 7 minutes. Your vitals spiked. What happened out there?" She took a deep breath. "I found something," she said quietly. "Something that shouldn't be here." Juno hesitated. "Are you saying alien?" Elara didn't answer. She only looked out the viewport again. At Mars, still and endless. And somewhere beneath that red horizon, the light pulsed once more. The next morning, Mars hung in the viewport like a wounded sun, the light from its red surface bleeding across the metallic halls of Helios-9. The station hummed with routine, atmospheric scans, solar calibrations, maintenance on aging life support systems. But for Commander Elara Myles, every sound felt distant, muffled, unimportant. Her mind replayed the vision again and again, the golden structure in the sand, the pulse, the hum, and that strange sense that something knew her. She hadn't slept. The hum still whispered faintly in her head, like a dream that refused to die. Juno entered the control bay, holding a steaming cup of synth coffee. "You're up early," she said, offering a tired smile. "I never went to bed," Elara replied, eyes fixed on the sensor array. "Pull up satellite sweep scans from last night, Sector 22 North." Juno frowned. "You already checked those twice." "Check again." Juno sighed, but obeyed. The holographic map flickered to life, a red outline of the planet rotating slowly, grids pulsing with soft blue light. After a moment, she zoomed into the northern zone. Nothing new. No radiation spikes. No power signatures. Just static interference. Static. Elara's eyes narrowed. "Show me." The screen erupted with a low, flickering pattern, white noise broken by faint pulses. Juno turned. "Solar interference, probably. Happens when—" "No," Elara interrupted. Her pulse quickened. The pattern was too precise, repeating every 43 seconds. "That's not interference. That's a signal." Elara ordered the data filtered and amplified. The pulses formed a rhythmic pattern, 3 short bursts, 1 long, 2 short. Then silence. Repeat. Juno leaned closer. "That's almost binary. But not exactly. The sequence shifts slightly each time." Elara stared at the looping signal. Her voice dropped. "It's learning." Later that day, she stood before the station's Exploration Council. A small group of officers, scientists, and engineers gathered in the command chamber. The circular room was lit only by the soft glow of the planet below, painting everyone's faces red. "Commander," said Dr. Kieran Soule, chief astrophysicist, adjusting his thin glasses. "You're suggesting the signal is of intelligent origin?" "I'm not suggesting," Elara said. "I'm stating it." A murmur rippled through the room. Dr. Soule folded his hands. "Let's assume, for the sake of argument, that the signal is real. Why not report it to Central Command? Why keep this internal?" "Because I don't trust Central," Elara said bluntly. "Last time someone found something unexplained on Mars, the Atlas colony, they erased it from history." The room went silent. Everyone remembered Atlas, the colony that vanished overnight, its records sealed under Earth's highest security clearance. "I'm authorizing a surface mission," Elara continued. "We'll go to the source of the light. Quietly. No transmissions, no logs. If there's something out there, we'll see it with our own eyes." The team assembled within hours. Commander Elara Myles, mission lead. Lieutenant Juno Vale, comms and navigation. Dr. Kieran Soule, data analyst. Engineer Tomas Red, systems and survival specialist. They descended from Helios-9 aboard the Skylark, a small atmospheric shuttle meant for reconnaissance. As they entered the thin Martian atmosphere, the ship rattled violently, its hull glowing from friction. Through the viewport, Mars stretched endlessly, dunes, craters, mountains like scars. "Landing coordinates locked," Juno reported. 42 kilometers north of Atlas ruins. The mention of Atlas made them all uneasy. The colony's last transmission, decades ago, had spoken of lights in the sand. Then silence. The Skylark touched down with a dull thud. Dust rose in slow motion, hanging in the thin air like smoke. The crew stepped out, 4 figures in white suits against an infinite red desert. "Base camp established," Red said, setting up the portable power unit. "Oxygen stable. Radiation levels minimal." Elara turned to the horizon. There it was again, faint, shimmering. The golden flicker. She felt the hum return in her skull, soft, insistent. Like something waiting. "Let's move," she said. They trekked across the dunes, guided by the beacon's steady pulse. After an hour, the ground began to change. The red dust thinned, revealing smooth black stone etched with patterns. Not natural erosion. Carvings. Dr. Sol knelt, brushing off the surface. These markings, they look mathematical. Recursive geometry, fractal symmetry. Elara crouched beside him. "You mean language? Or design?" Sol replied. "Something meant to be seen from above." Juno's voice came through their comms, trembling slightly. "Commander, I think it's reacting to us." Elara turned. The light ahead was pulsing faster now, brighter, as if it could sense their approach. Her heart pounded. "Keep moving." They reached the structure just before nightfall. It rose from the sand like the tip of a buried blade, sleek and curved, humming faintly. At its base, a circular pattern glowed faintly beneath the dust, an entrance sealed by invisible force. Red ran a scanner across it. No seams. No door. But there's energy inside. Strong. Dr. Sol squinted. "Commander, reading suggests this thing isn't made. It's grown." Elara stepped closer, pressing her gloved hand to the smooth surface. It was warm, and then it pulsed. Once. Twice. Her visor flickered. The hum grew louder, rising in pitch until she thought her skull might split. "Elara!" Juno shouted. "Step back." But before she could move, the light flared, a blinding gold that swallowed everything. Then silence. When Elara opened her eyes, she was somewhere else. The sky was no longer red. It shimmered with shifting colors, like the auroras of old Earth. Strange structures floated in the distance, their surfaces rippling like water. And in the air, or whatever this place was, she felt presence. Watching her. Studying her. "Elara?" Juno's voice echoed faintly, distant. "Commander, where are you?" She looked around. The others were gone. Only the light remained, swirling and alive, coalescing into a shape. A figure, tall, radiant, neither human nor alien, but something in between. It spoke without sound. "You have come beyond the veil." Elara's heart raced. "Who are you?" she whispered. "What are you?" "We are the memory of light. You were not meant to find us yet." The vision shattered. The world folded in on itself, and Elara fell through darkness, until the sound of air filled her lungs again. She was lying on the sand, the structure silent once more, her team kneeling beside her. "Commander, talk to us." Juno shouted. Elara blinked. Her head throbbed. "I saw something," she whispered. "A place made of light. And of voices." Dr. Sol stared at her in disbelief. "Voices." She nodded weakly. They called themselves the memory of light. That night, as the team camped beside the structure, the wind carried a low vibration, faint, harmonic, almost like music. No one spoke. No one slept. Elara sat by the glowing surface, staring into the faint reflection of her own helmet. Somewhere deep inside the structure, something pulsed once, gentle, deliberate. Morning came slowly on Mars. The horizon blazed with crimson light, and the cold night winds faded into stillness. The structure still glowed faintly beneath the sand, silent, unmoving, yet alive in some way none of them could define. Commander Elara Myles sat apart from the others, her gloved fingers tracing lines in the dust. She hadn't told them everything, not about what she saw inside that blinding light, nor the strange echo that had followed her back. Since waking, she'd heard whispers. Not words, tones, frequencies, like a soft chord resonating in her skull. Every time she looked at the structure, the sound grew clearer, stronger. "Commander," came Juno's voice from behind. "Dr. Sol's got something." Elara turned. Sol was kneeling beside the glowing surface, a handheld analyzer hovering inches above it. Holographic data streamed into the air, energy readings pulsing like a heartbeat. It's not just emitting light, Sol said, eyes wide. It's communicating. Look here, repeating harmonic waves in triadic frequencies. It's encoding information through sound, not radiation. Elara frowned. You mean like music? Sol nodded slowly.
Exactly.
Structured music. The mathematical kind. Too precise to be random. Red crossed his arms, skeptical. So, what? The rock singing to us? Not to us, Sol replied softly.
To her.
All eyes turned to Elara. She hesitated. Why do you say that? Because, Sol said, the energy spikes every time you come near it. The amplitude doubles. You're acting as some kind of resonance trigger. Juno's face paled. You mean it's bonded to her?
I don't know, Sol said.
But it's responding. Elara's heartbeat quickened. She could feel it now, the low hum in her chest syncing with her pulse. She stepped closer to the structure, and the glow brightened in response, threads of golden light racing across its surface like veins awakening under skin. Elara, Juno warned, but it was too late. The hum grew deeper, and then a new sound emerged, a voice, faint but unmistakable. The memory must awaken. Elara stumbled back, gasping. The others froze. What did it say? Red asked, panic in his tone. You heard it too? She whispered. They all nodded slowly. Then, from the depths of the structure, a beam of light shot upward into the sky, thin, pure, piercing the thin Martian atmosphere. It split the red clouds like a blade. Power surge. Sol shouted. Readings off the charts. This thing's broadcasting. To where? Juno cried. Sol stared at his display, disbelief spreading across his face. It's transmitting off-world, beyond Mars' orbit, toward the outer system. For the next hours, chaos turned to silence. The light faded, the hum died down, but the air around them still buzzed with invisible energy. The crew's instruments glitched, their comms flickered, and every time Elara tried to rest, she heard fragments, whispers of voices, phrases that weren't human. You are the bridge. Through you, we remember. Light cannot die. It changes form. At first, she thought she was hallucinating. Then she realized the voices spoke in sync with her heartbeat. Juno approached her near the campfire that night. You're scaring them, she said quietly. Elara didn't look up. I'm scaring myself. You need to tell me what you saw inside that light. Elara hesitated. Then she whispered. It wasn't a vision. It was a place, made of light, sound, thought. They weren't beings the way we understand. They were memory-given form. They said they existed before the first stars. Juno frowned. That's impossible. Elara smiled faintly. So was life on Mars. Back at Helios-9, Central Command began to take notice of the sudden data bursts from the surface. An encrypted transmission arrived. Helios-9, confirm origin of unauthorized signal. Possible containment breach. Awaiting full report. Juno stared at the message. They know. Elara nodded grimly. Then we move faster. She turned to her crew. We're going back inside. Red looked at her like she was insane. Inside? Commander, that thing nearly fried our systems. We should be leaving, not poking around. Leaving means letting Central take over, Elara said. And if they do, they'll bury this again. Whatever's inside that structure, it's been waiting for someone to find it. Maybe us. Sol adjusted his scanner. If it's waiting for someone, it's because it needs something. Elara met his gaze. Maybe it needs to be remembered. They returned to the site the next day. The sky was thick with dust storms, and static danced through their comms. As they approached the structure, it began to hum again, low and inviting, like a distant heartbeat calling them home. Elara stepped forward. Last time, it opened when I touched it, she said. Maybe you shouldn't do that again, Juno murmured, but Elara had already placed her hand on the surface. This time, the glow didn't explode outward. Instead, it spread beneath her touch, unfolding like petals. The black glassy surface parted soundlessly, revealing a tunnel descending into golden darkness. The air shimmered. Gravity itself seemed uncertain. Red swallowed hard. "Commander, are we really doing this?" Elara's voice was steady. "We came to Mars to find life. Maybe we just did." They entered. The tunnel sloped downward in smooth, spiraling curves, walls alive with flowing light that shifted as they moved, almost watching them. Their footsteps echoed faintly, like ripples in a vast ocean. Dr. Soul ran his hand along the wall. "This isn't metal," he murmured. "It's some kind of organic crystal grown at a molecular level." As they descended deeper, the hum grew louder. Then, without warning, the tunnel opened into a massive chamber. They froze. Suspended in the center of the space was a sphere, immense, radiant, and transparent, filled with swirling patterns of light. It rotated slowly, and within it, shapes flickered, galaxies, stars, fragments of what looked like memories. Elara felt tears sting her eyes. "It's beautiful." Soul's voice trembled. "It's a data core, a living archive." "The memory of light," a voice said, not in sound, but directly in their minds. The crew gasped. The sphere pulsed with gold as the voice continued. "Before your sons were born, we cast ourselves into the dark to survive. Each world was a seed. Mars was one." Elara took a step forward, awe and fear entwined. You're not alive. We are beyond life. We are what remains when life transcends form. You call it extinction. We call it memory." The light around them shimmered, and images filled the chamber. Visions of ancient civilizations, vast ships of light leaving dying stars, energy flowing across galaxies. Red whispered, "They're showing us their history." Juno's voice trembled. "Or our future." Then the images shifted. The light dimmed. The sphere flickered. "The last seed is failing. The memory fades. One among you must carry it beyond Mars before the dark returns." Elara felt a surge of warmth through her chest. Her visor flashed with golden light. She gasped. "What are you doing?" "We are choosing." Pain lanced through her skull, then clarity, a rush of images, sounds, knowledge flooding her mind. She saw distant stars, equations she couldn't comprehend, songs older than humanity. She fell to her knees. The sphere dimmed, its glow fading. "Elara." Juno rushed forward. "Stay with me." The chamber began to shake. The walls flickered, fragments of light collapsing into darkness. "The memory must survive," the voice whispered one last time. "Carry the light beyond Mars." Then silence. They dragged Elara out of the collapsing tunnel as the entrance sealed behind them. The desert was burning gold, dust rising like smoke. When she opened her eyes, her irises shimmered faintly, golden, like the light itself. Juno stared at her, trembling. "What did they do to you?" Elara looked toward the horizon, her voice distant, hollow, yet powerful. "They didn't do anything," she said softly. "They became me." The next sunrise over Mars was unlike any before. The desert shimmered with faint gold dust, as if the planet itself had begun to glow from within. The crew of Helios-9 stood outside their shuttle, still shaken, staring at the spot where the structure had sealed itself back into silence. No one spoke for a long time. Only the wind moved, slow and steady, whispering over the dunes. Elara stood apart from them, helmet off, the chill Martian air brushing against her face. The oxygen readings blinked warnings in her wrist display, but she didn't feel breathless. In fact, she felt alive in a way she never had before, every heartbeat synchronized with a subtle vibration in the air, every grain of dust glittering with strange energy that only she could see. "Commander," Juno said carefully, "you need to get back inside. Your O2's dropping." Elara turned toward her, eyes glowing faintly gold. "It's all right. I can breathe." Juno froze. "That's impossible." Elara looked out across the desert. "So was everything we've seen." Back aboard Helios-9, the atmosphere was heavy. Red worked in silence, checking systems, while Dr. Soul paced across the deck, muttering to himself, struggling to put into words what they had witnessed. Finally, he turned to Elara. You said they became you. What does that mean? Elara hesitated. I don't fully know. They said they were memory. Energy that once lived and now endures. When they touched me, it was like they stored themselves inside me. Soul's eyes widened. You're saying you're carrying alien consciousness? Not consciousness, Elara corrected softly. Remembrance. Fragments of who they were, their science, their history, their will. Juno leaned forward. Elara, that could mean your neural structure's been altered. You might not even be. I'm still me, Elara said sharply, then softened. But I'm not only me anymore. That night, the hum returned, this time not from the structure below but from within the station itself. Soft pulses of golden light rippled through the walls, dancing across the metallic surfaces like living veins. Red shouted from the engine room. Commander, the reactor's picking up an external energy field. No, wait, it's coming from inside the ship. Elara closed her eyes. She could feel it, the pulse of the energy syncing with her heartbeat. She reached out instinctively, and the lights obeyed her, dimming, then stabilizing. The others stared in shock. Elara, Juno whispered. You just controlled the ship. Elara looked down at her hands, trembling. I didn't control it. I yasked it. Hours later, a transmission broke through the static. Helios-9, this is Central Command, Earth Division. You are in violation of Protocol 47B regarding extraterrestrial anomalies. Transmission of any data is prohibited. Stand by for immediate retrieval. Soul cursed under his breath. They know. Juno's eyes darted across the console. They've tracked the light signal. Earth ships are en route, military. Elara's jaw tightened. They're coming to erase it. Red slammed his fist on the table. Then what the hell do we do? We can't fight Earth. Elara looked out the viewport. Mars hung below them, glowing faintly in the night. No, she said softly. But maybe Mars can. Within hours, the first Central Command ship, the Artemis cruiser, entered Martian orbit. Sleek, dark, and heavily armed, it dwarfed Helios-9. A sharp voice came over comms. This is Colonel Vance of the Artemis. Commander Myles, you are ordered to surrender control of your station and all data concerning the anomaly immediately. Elara didn't answer. She stood before the viewport, watching the cruiser's lights blink like distant stars. The hum inside her grew louder, insistent. They will destroy the seed, the voice inside whispered. The memory must endure. Elara whispered back. How? The answer came not in words but in sensation, warmth, power, purpose. You are the vessel. Through you, the light lives. Commander? Juno asked nervously. They're demanding a response. Elara turned, her golden-tinged eyes calm. Tell them the anomaly is unstable. Tell them approaching it would risk destroying the planet. Red blinked. Is that true? It will be, she said quietly. When the Artemis attempted to scan the surface, the structure beneath the sand responded, glowing brighter than ever before. Sensors went wild, alarms blared, and electromagnetic storms rippled through the thin atmosphere. Commander, what's happening? Soul shouted. Elara gripped the console, her body trembling as if electricity coursed through her veins. They're waking it. Outside, the surface of Mars erupted in shimmering light. The dunes cracked, and golden fissures spread for miles like veins beneath the crust. From orbit, it looked as if the planet itself was igniting. Energy readings off the charts. Juno cried. The whole northern hemisphere is lighting up. Red stared at Elara. Are you doing this? Elara shook her head slowly.
No. It's responding to me.
It's defending itself. The Artemis cruiser fired a containment beam, trying to neutralize the surge, but the beam dissolved midair, refracted by a wall of shimmering light. Then, the impossible happened. Communications across the solar network began to fail, as though Mars itself had become a broadcasting signal, drowning out everything else. Colonel Vance's voice broke through the static. Commander Myles, cease this immediately. You are endangering all operations. Elara's voice was calm, steady. No, Colonel. You are. You don't understand what you're dealing with. I understand perfectly, she interrupted. You think this light is a weapon. But it's not. It's a message. And it's alive. Silence. Then Vance's voice hardened. You've gone rogue, Commander. Prepare for retrieval by force. Juno looked terrified. They'll board us. Elara nodded slowly. Then we'll have to leave first. Leave? Where? Red demanded. Elara turned to them, her eyes now fully glowing, voice low but certain. Beyond Mars. In the following hours, chaos unfolded. The hum within Helios-9 fused with its systems, reconfiguring energy cores, rewriting control patterns faster than any human could track. The ship's engines, once weak orbital thrusters, began to vibrate with golden light. Dr. Soul watched in disbelief. The energy, it's rewriting the ship. It's making it faster.
Smarter.
Elara smiled faintly. It wants to survive. Juno whispered, and you're letting it. Elara placed her hand on the console. I'm not letting it. I'm helping it. Outside, the Artemis launched interceptor drones, black specks streaking through the red sky. As they approached Helios-9, the ship's shields flared gold, dissolving the drones in bursts of light. Red shouted, That's impossible. We don't even have shields. Elara stood calm amid the chaos, her voice echoing softly. We do now. The others stared at her, a mix of awe and fear. For the first time, they realized she was no longer merely human. The light within her wasn't just a connection. It was becoming a fusion. Elara, Juno said quietly, What's happening to you? Elara turned, her gaze distant. I think I'm remembering who we used to be. The ship trembled. Energies surged. Helios-9, once a lifeless outpost, transformed into something alive, thrumming with gold veins of power. The Martian surface below pulsed in response, as if the planet itself was lending strength to its child. Commander, Soul said, voice trembling, if we go through with this, whatever you're planning, there's no coming back. Elara looked out the viewport one last time, toward the glowing red sphere that had once been humanity's frontier. We were never meant to stay, she said softly. The memory must go beyond Mars. She raised her hand. The ship ignited, not with fire, but with light. From the Artemis, Colonel Vance watched in horror as Helios-9 became a streak of golden brilliance, tearing through the thin atmosphere and vanishing into the void. Sensors failed to track it. It was as though the ship had phased out of existence. Myles, he whispered. What have you done? Inside the shimmering cocoon of light, Elara floated, weightless, glowing. The hum had become a symphony now, voices blending in perfect harmony. You are the bridge between memory and becoming. The light must find its new home. She closed her eyes. Where? Beyond Mars. Beyond fear. Where light can live again. The walls of the alien chamber thrummed like the surface of a living heart. Light crawled through the runes, thin rivers of gold that pulsed with growing rhythm. Elara stood in the center of the dome, her visor cracked, her oxygen low, her mind caught between terror and awe. The hum that had once whispered now roared in full symphony, 1,000 tones weaving into a single voice that spoke without words. You have returned. The voice wasn't in her ears. It resonated inside her skull. Deep, ancient, and sorrowful. Elara staggered. Returned? I don't understand. Who are you? We are what remains, the voice said. Fragments of a civilization that shaped your skies long before your world took breath. We were the builders of the path, the keepers of light. Her heart pounded. The alien artifact beneath the Martian dust wasn't just a relic, it was a memory. What happened to you? She whispered. Extinction, the voice replied. Our stars dimmed. Our worlds perished. But before the dark came, we sent our light across the void, seeds of remembrance buried beneath the planets we touched. Mars was one of them. Elara slowly turned in a circle. The chamber's walls shimmered, displaying visions of alien worlds, crystalline cities, oceans of gas, towers made of starlight, and then ruin. Crumbling spires, dying suns, silent deserts, much like Mars. "Why me?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Why now?" For a long moment, only the hum answered. Then, softly, "Because your kind stands where we once stood, on the edge of creation and ruin. We called, and you heard. You are the first to listen." The light flared, engulfing her. She saw flashes, humans building the first Mars domes, the same architecture somehow mimicking alien patterns. She saw Earth from orbit, glowing blue, wrapped in an invisible field of energy, familiar to the patterns carved into this chamber. Her voice broke. "Are you saying we came from you?" "You came from the dust of many worlds," the voice said. "We gave you fire, not form. We are not your gods. We are your echoes." Elara fell to her knees. Her calm crackled, Juno's voice cutting through. "Commander, we're reading a massive energy surge from your position. You need to get out, now." But Elara couldn't move. The chamber's light shifted, softening from gold to pure white. The voice lowered, almost human. "The storm returns, child of Earth. The red planet will wake. Your world will follow. Remember what you saw. Carry our light beyond Mars." Then the floor split open. A column of blinding radiance shot upward, piercing the ceiling and tearing through the crust above. On the surface, a beam of white light erupted from the sand, visible even from orbit. Helios-9 orbiting Mars. Juno stared at the sensor display, her eyes wide. "By the stars, what is that?" The beam's energy readings spiked beyond measurable range. The entire planet's magnetosphere pulsed once, like a heartbeat. "Evacuate orbital ring," shouted another officer. "That's a planetary-scale reaction." But before they could act, the beam dimmed, vanishing into silence. Beneath the surface, Elara gasped for air as the chamber went dark. Only the faintest threads of light remained, swirling around her like fireflies. Her helmet display flickered, rebooting, and in that faint glow, she saw something ahead, a human figure, half transparent, formed of light and shadow. It was her. Or rather, something wearing her face. "You've seen," the echo said gently. "Now you must choose. Return and warn them, or stay and become what we once were." Elara took a step forward, trembling. "What does that mean?" The echo smiled, the same way Elara had when she first saw Earth from orbit years ago. "It means light never dies. It only travels." And then the figure dissolved into the dust. She woke hours later on the Martian surface. Her suit systems were rebooted, her oxygen restored, but her visor displayed new data, unknown symbols, shifting like code. The horizon glowed faintly, not with sunlight, but with threads of gold snaking across the dunes, spreading outward, like veins returning life to a sleeping world. "Control," she whispered. "Helios-9, do you read?" Static, then Juno's shaky voice. "Commander, the beam. It reached orbit. It was seen from Earth." Elara closed her eyes. "Then it's begun." As she looked out across the vast red desert, she realized Mars was no longer silent. The wind carried a tone, the faint hum she'd heard in her dreams. The planet wasn't just alive, it was waking. The silence of Mars was gone. From orbit, the red planet shimmered with faint filaments of gold, stretching across craters and valleys like a living network. The scientists of Helios-9 watched in stunned silence as energy readings surged across their instruments, electromagnetic waves, patterns too precise to be random. Elara Myles stood at the viewport, her reflection faintly outlined by the distant light. She had returned from the surface, but something in her eyes was different, an awareness that stretched beyond the walls of the station, beyond even the stars. Juno approached carefully. "Commander," she said softly, "telemetry shows the energy pulse from the planet hasn't faded. It's stabilizing. Some of the patterns, they look like language." Elara didn't turn. "It is language," she whispered. "They're trying to speak." Juno frowned. They? You mean the entity you encountered? Elara nodded slowly. Not one entity, a memory. A network. The remnants of a civilization that lived before time touched our world. They left a seed here, waiting for someone to find it. And that someone, Juno murmured, was you. Elara's gaze drifted toward Mars, where faint waves of gold pulsed like a heartbeat. Not just me, she said.
Us.
Humanity. We've been looking for life in the stars, and it's been waiting all along. Scene: the transmission room. Hours later, the command center of Helios-9 was alive with voices. Engineers, scientists, and operators huddled over monitors as patterns of light converted into sound and waveform data. The alien frequency, once chaotic, began forming repeating sequences, tones arranged in rising harmonics, mathematical precision that mirrored human DNA ratios. It's like they're mirroring us, said one technician, awestruck. These frequencies, they correspond to our genetic structure. Juno turned to Elara. What do they want us to do? Elara's voice was calm, certain. They want us to listen. She approached the central console, her gloved hand hovering over the broadcast controls. Patch the signal to the deep space network. Let Earth receive it. The technician hesitated. Are you sure, Commander? We don't know what the message contains. Elara met his eyes. We can't be afraid of light. Scene: Earth receives the signal. Back on Earth, in the Global Deep Space Communication Center in Nairobi, alarms rang through the corridors. Operators scrambled to triangulate the incoming signal, a steady pulse from Mars, structured, encoded, intelligent. What is it? Asked the director. Another solar flare? No, sir, a young analyst said, eyes wide. It's a message. On every screen, the waveform expanded, reshaped, and suddenly, the monitors filled with an image, a sphere of light, orbiting a red world. Then words, translated automatically through pattern recognition software. The path is open. Light never dies. Then the image shifted, showing Earth, blue and alive, wrapped in the same golden web now spreading across Mars. The data stream multiplied, equations, star maps, and designs for technologies beyond human understanding. The world fell into silence. Scene: Helios-9, moments after transmission. Earth received it. Juno breathed. Every satellite, every station. It's everywhere: social media, global news, live feeds. The whole planet's watching Mars right now. Elara smiled faintly. Good. Let them see. Juno turned toward her, concern shadowing her relief. Commander, your vitals, they're changing again. You've been exposed to that energy source. You might be. Elara lifted a hand, stopping her. I'm fine, she said softly. I understand it now. The energy isn't destroying, it's transforming. Her skin shimmered faintly under the light, golden threads running beneath her veins like fire under glass. The alien frequency hummed faintly in her voice when she spoke again. They didn't die, she said. They evolved into energy, into memory, into the very thing that fuels stars. That's what the light beyond Mars really is, the next step. Juno stepped back, realization dawning in her eyes. Elara, you're becoming one of them. Elara smiled, not in fear, but peace. Maybe. Or maybe I've just finally remembered what we were meant to be. Scene: the farewell. Helios-9's alarms echoed. The energy levels from Mars were spiking again, building toward another discharge. The crew scrambled to stabilize orbit, but Elara walked calmly toward the airlock. Commander, wait. Juno called. If that field expands, you'll be vaporized. Elara turned, her figure haloed by soft light. No, Juno. I'll be free. The hatch opened. Wind and static filled the chamber as Elara stepped into the void, drifting weightlessly toward the planet below. As she descended through the Martian atmosphere, her suit disintegrated into particles of gold, her form dissolving into light. And when she touched the surface, the planet responded, a vast wave of brilliance spreading outward like sunrise over red stone. From orbit, It looked as though Mars itself was waking. Scene. Epilogue 1 year later. A year after the signal, Mars was no longer the same. Golden patterns stretched across its terrain, visible even from Earth. The colonies, once isolated and dying, now flourished under new energy systems derived from alien knowledge. Humanity had begun its next chapter, not as conquerors, but as heirs to a forgotten light. In a classroom on Earth, a child raised her hand. "Teacher," she asked, "is it true that Commander Myles became a star?" The teacher smiled.
Not a star, she said.
Something brighter. She became a messenger. And outside the classroom window, in the night sky, Mars glowed faintly gold, pulsing once every few seconds, like a heartbeat across the void.